Have you read this article where I mention on page 2? I'm a celebrity. In my head.
Crucial. If we fade, then it's a lie. But you know we are the sun. And we'll walk.
This is Lost Thoughts for episodes 16 and 17 entitled The Incident. This week we'll translate a bit of Latin, see some of the greatest minutes of Lost ever, and finally find out what's in the box! Did you get that? That was from the movie 7. As I stared into the logo of Lost with its black lettering and white background, I sat silent just for a moment. I could not find the exact words to describe the plethora of emotions that I was feeling at that moment, and then it came over me, like a wave over the breaker. I opened my mouth and I said, "What?" The season 5 finale had everything that you could ever expect from an episode of Lost. The episode starts in a room where the episode ends. We see a man who turns out to be Jacob using a loom of some sort. At the end of the episode, Jacob mentions something about a thread, so the metaphor is pretty obvious. Nice shoes. What are those, moccasins? Jacob catches a fish, fries it up, sits back, and enjoys watching the Black Rock. A man walks up and has a conversation with Jacob. We don't find this guy's name out, but the conversation that they have is very telling as to the whole scope of the show Lost. Last week my theory was that the island and Jacob were the two sides of this game that were eventually going to battle, the island being light and Jacob being dark. This week we see Jacob wearing a white shirt and this other unknown guy wearing a black shirt. Black shirt guy says that he knows that Jacob brought the Black Rock people to the island in order to prove him wrong. Based on the conversation, it's pretty obvious to see the two of them having some sort of eternal struggle. Black shirt guy says that he's looking for some sort of loophole, and that things always end up the same. They come, they fight, they destroy, they corrupt. Perhaps this entire game between Black shirt guy and Jacob is the eternal struggle of free will versus fate, an eternal battle of destiny. But my thought is that even though Jacob preaches free will and personal choices, he doesn't actually believe in it. Also, based on the biblical nature of the show, the man in the black shirt could be Esau, Jacob's brother. In the Bible, Jacob manipulated his way to steal his older brother Esau's birthright and blessing. Esau eventually wanted to kill Jacob, a la brotherly infighting going back to Cain and Abel. Does any of this have merit? Maybe. We jump into one of the many flashbacks, and of course that's young Kate with the love of her life that she eventually aided in killing, Tom. Notice Patsy Cline playing in the background? The lunchbox that young Kate is trying to steal would eventually become the same lunchbox that she and Tom would bury underneath that tree containing all of those personal items, including the little toy plane that would eventually become to symbolize Kate's love for the man that she helped kill. So Jacob ends up paying for the lunchbox for Kate and telling her to not steal ever again, which begs the question, does Kate ever steal again? Or does she just kill people? Nah, I'm pretty sure she stole again. Some people will point to this scene as evidence that Jacob is on the side of good, but I'm not too sure. And back on the submarine, of course, Kate thinks that she has to save the day. Back on the island, Krista had a question. How did those guys swim through the tunnel to get up into the cave and Daniel's notebook didn't get wet? Large group of people walking across the island with Lost's typical violin music. It must be a season finale. Richard admits that it was because of Jacob that he can't age. I'm betting that Jacob gave Richard eternal life and failed to tell him that in exchange Richard would eventually become the servant of whoever was the leader of the island at the time. Eternal life, eternal servitude. Okay, we're finally going to find out what's in the box. Long drawn out pause, music, camera zoom in, back to Lapidus. Terrific. Commercial? What? Nothing? Oh, come on! By the way, terrific was what Charlie said the very first night on the island when they heard the monster. And another flashback with little Sawyer. This is when he writes the letter to the real Sawyer, and Jacob gives him the pen to write it. Very interesting. Sawyer then promises that guy, whoever he was, that he would never finish the letter, but we all know that he did. So is this Jacob being a good guy, giving Sawyer the pen to finish the letter? Or is this Jacob being on the side of free will, giving Sawyer the choice to finish the letter? But knowing that Sawyer finished that letter, we know that he had his fuel for vengeance for the next few decades of his life. Does that sound like Jacob giving little Sawyer the choice? Or subtly influencing? How are Kate, Juliet, and Sawyer gonna get off that submarine and back to the island? Oh yeah, with Juliet kicking somebody's butt, Jack Bauer style! Locke wants Ben to kill Jacob? Intriguing. And there's Jacob standing behind Saeed and Nadia on the street corner. He ends up distracting Saeed, and Nadia ends up getting hit by the car. Now, this isn't Jacob doing the whole free will thing. He totally influenced that situation. But here's another thing. Through all these flashbacks, we know that Jacob has free range of leaving the island. We know that the Sawyer and Kate flashbacks were before the crash of Flight 815, and we know that saving Saeed and Nadia getting hit by the car was after the crash of Flight 815, which begs the question, was Jacob ever really trapped in that cabin, and did he ever need help? To put it a little bit further, I don't think the guy in the cabin is Jacob. The tunnels lead right up to the Dharma houses? Wow. When were the tunnels built in accordance with the Dharma houses? Because the tunnel ran right up to the house, implying that it was built there to get as close as possible to Dharmaville. But it's pretty obvious that the tunnels are a lot older than the Dharma Initiative, so this whole thing is pointing to Dharma building the house up to the tunnel. Did the Dharma Initiative know the tunnels were there? Jack and Saeed are about to get away scot-free, and of course Roger Linus has to ruin everything. Oh my god, Saeed just got shot. And Jack's taking them all on with a single gun. Come get some! And we got Hurley coming in with the Dharma van. It's his best weapon. And that scene was awesome. What's coming? Oh my gosh. It can't be, can it? It's Vincent! He hasn't been seen since the Flaming Arrow attack 3 years ago. Well, thanks, Sawyer, for categorizing that for the audience by telling the dog the last time you've seen him. But it doesn't really make... It's Rose and Bernard. They've been surviving on the island for 3 years by themselves. They're retired. They built a retirement house. How come their clothes are still nice? It's always something with you people. It seems like Rose and Bernard have their lives figured out. They really don't care what happens as long as they have each other. But how were they not captured by Dharma or the others during those 3 years? I kind of feel like Rose, Bernard, and Vincent were thrown into this episode because of all the people on the message boards complaining that we never found out what happened to them. But 1, Bernard looks hardcorely awesome in his beard. 2, were Rose, Bernard, and Vincent the only survivors of the Flaming Arrow attack? Bram says that he is one of the good guys. I never trust anyone when they proclaim themselves to be a good guy. Did you notice that Bram was wearing a black shirt and Lapidus was wearing his white pilot uniform? Nice touch with the light and dark sides again. Okay, so we have the cabin and there's the ash and there's a break in the ash. Whoever was trapped inside that cabin escaped. I'm telling you, that's not Jacob's cabin. And the Ajira band of brothers are burning it to the ground. For what reason? Everything that rises must converge. That's the title of the book that Jacob was reading. Okay, so Jacob's reading the book and... oh my gosh, Locke just fell out the window. Awesome! And Jacob rises Locke from the dead. And now, ladies and gentlemen, some Michael Emerson theater. Everything alright? I was enjoying some alone time. It's a door. How about that? You mind if I ask you a question? I'm a Pisces. Yes, I lied. That's what I do. And now we have Locke manipulating Ben to kill Jacob. Wow. How the roles are reversed. It's the drive shaft ring! I was wondering when somebody was gonna find that. And of course this leads to the Jin and Sun flashback. And there's Jacob at their wedding to offer his blessing. Question, why did Sun change out of her wedding dress just to be in the receiving line? We're not going back in time. Yeah, because that would be ridiculous. Why did we stop? Because of that. Oh, please be a polar bear. Nope, it's Kate, Sawyer, and Juliet standing their ground like the 300 Spartans. Let's just hope they fare a bit better. And ladies and gentlemen, this is how we end the first hour of Lost. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. and have ourselves a snack. Stay tuned for part 2. Go to this link.